of the time, people get upset when people tell them the truth about themselves, right? The reason why people say the truth hurts is not that the truth hurts in of itself. The truth is what it is, and the truth will set you free. But people get upset and get offended by the truth, and especially if you're telling them the truth about who they are, is because they have been lying to themselves so much about it, and they knew that truth, but now they are upset because you recognize it. And not only that you recognize it, you are confronting them with it, and they don't want to deal with it. That is why they say the truth hurt, and that is why they act offended when you come to them with truth. But they knew all along that what you brought to them or what you brought to light was the truth. They just had convinced themselves so much that it wasn't. So now when you're bringing it with them, their reaction is out of offense, but it really comes from a place of hurt because they didn't want to deal with it.
Why do people get angry when you reveal the hidden truth? Not when you yell, not when you insult, but when you calmly, clearly, and honestly name what's really happening. Why does truth spoken without malice trigger rage, silence, smear campaigns, or emotional shutdown? If truth is meant to heal, why does it sometimes cost you relationships, community, or even your reputation? Sit with that question, because today we're unpacking why light feels like an attack to people who live in the dark.
If the truth offends you, it's probably because it exposes you. Yep.
Welcome to Divine Time, a space for real conversation, spiritual growth, and uncomfortable truths that lead to real freedom. This is your boy, Downly Divine, and this isn't a podcast about blaming, shaming, or being right. No drama here. This is about understanding what happens psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually when truth enters spaces built on avoidance. Today's episode is for anyone who has spoken up and been punished for it, set a boundary and been labeled difficult, named a pattern, and suddenly became the villain. If you've ever wondered, why did telling the truth change how people treat me? This episode is for you! Here's the problem we rarely talk about honestly. Most people don't hate lies, they hate exposure. Because exposure threatens their self-image, their coping mechanisms, their sense of control. Too many people want to control everything.
I will control everything.
When you reveal someone's hidden behavior, whether it's manipulation, emotional avoidance, dishonesty, or hypocrisy, you're not just pointing out an action, you're challenging a story they tell themselves about who they are. And when that story cracks, fear rushes in. So instead of self-reflection, what happens? You see backlash. Suddenly, you're negative, you're dramatic, you're reading too much into it, and
You're the problem.
but because you're disrupting comfort. Truth destabilizes systems built on silence, and we got a lot of motherfuckers out here who want to be silent instead of speaking up. And people will defend their comfort harder than they defend their integrity. Ooh, excuse me. So let's talk about why this reaction happens on a deeper level. Psychologically, this is about ego protection and cognitive dissonance. I'm sure you all have heard of cognitive dissonance before.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that private pile?
Cognitive dissonance happens when someone is forced to hold two conflicting ideas. I'm a good person, or I did something harmful. Instead of integrating both truths, many people choose the easier option, reject the messenger. This is where projection comes in. They accuse you of being controlling, you of being manipulative, and you of being judgmental, when in reality, those are the traits being exposed. Spiritually speaking, this is shadow work.
Shadow work is mandatory in the spiritual journey, and you cannot skip it because the path to aligning with God and spiritual ascension is a path of healing, which is only done through shadow work. If you don't know what that is, shadow work is a spiritual practice of healing through shedding light on your shadow, which is the parts of yourself you don't love and repress due to trauma. Now, time and space is a human construct that does not actually exist. Every time you experience trauma in the first 7 years of your life, it becomes a negative distortion on your conscious timeline. So energetically, this distortion will keep bringing you back in time to that traumatic moment. since past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. This means that you will keep repeating patterns caused by your shadow if you don't literally go back in time to solve this trauma. And yes, we can go back in time, but not physically. We do so with our consciousness and vibration. In fact, going back in time is an essential part of shadow work so we can reprogram the memories that created the shadow aspects of us and remove the energetic distortion in our timeline.
This is shadow work, the parts of ourselves that we avoid, suppress, or deny. And when someone mirrors that shadow back to us, it feels like an attack, not because it is one, but because avoidance has become survival. We have a lot of people living in survival mode, and with that, they feel as if everything that someone says that goes against what they believe is an attack personally on them.
I think I've been attacked more than I deserve.
Truth becomes threatening when lies are holding someone together. Here's something important. Not all anger toward truth is malicious. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's shame. Sometimes it's the realization that change is required. And change feels fucking terrifying. But there's a difference between someone who gets uncomfortable and grows and someone who gets uncomfortable and destroys. The second group doesn't want resolution. They want silence. They woke up and chose violence.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
They don't want healing. They want things to go back to the way they were, where no one questioned them. This is why truth tellers often become isolated, ostracized, pushed to the back, because people are so used to defending who they like rather than defending what is right. Not because they lack love, but because they refuse to participate in illusion. So truth tellers, we are, I like to say, the bringers of karma. And with that, when we sit there, our refusal exposes everything. Because we speak the cup. But hey, I want to slow down here because this part matters. Check it. There's a moment many of us experience where we realize that telling the truth is no longer safe in this space. You may speak clearly. You're calm. You're respectful. And yet, everything shifts. I'm not sure if you're like me, but you can feel when energy changes. You see when people pull away. You hear the stories that start to circulate. And you also start to realize how people are trying to twist and rewrite your intentions. That moment hurts. Not because you regret the truth, but because you see clearly now that this relationship was never built on honesty. And here's the hardest truth of all. Sometimes exposing darkness costs you people who benefited from it staying hidden. But staying silent would have cost you yourself. Truth doesn't just reveal what's wrong. It reveals who can walk with you in the light. So what do we do with this? We stop confusing rejection with failure. We stop equating backlash with wrongdoing. We stop shrinking to protect other people's shadows. Truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's simply no longer agreeing with the lie, saying, you know what, I am enough and I am better than this. Stop protecting individuals because you like them. We all know what's right. We all know what's wrong. And if someone's peace depends on your silence, that peace is false. Your job isn't to convince. Your job is to remain aligned. Because the truth doesn't need defending. It needs embodiment. So with that, I ask you this real quick. If someone asks you to lie for them, do you think that they're telling the truth? Why are there so many people who rather defend who they like rather than defend what is right? Today, we talked about why truth triggers anger, how exposing darkness creates psychological resistance, why honesty often leads to backlash, and how truth reveals alignment, not loyalty. Remember this. What reacts violently to truth was already unstable. Light doesn't create darkness, it reveals it.
The only people who are mad at you for speaking the truth are those people who are living a lie. Truth only threatens people who profit from a lie. If the truth makes you mad, it's because it hits something real. People don't hate the truth. They hate what it exposes about them. Truth only pisses off people who've been bullshitting themselves. If the truth makes you mad, it's because it stepped into your life. Real talk only hurts when you fake as hell. The truth ain't rude. You just built on bullshit. I spoke facts and you heard an attack. That's on you. Don't get mad at me because the truth cracked your mask. Truth don't need no yell. Lies be the ones screaming. If honesty feels disrespectful, then you've been living dirty. I ain't disrespectful. I'm just not lying to make you comfortable. Now you mad. Truth be hitting hard when your whole story fake. Only those living a lie call the truth disrespectful. Truth feels like violence to people built on deception. So like I said, the only people who are mad at you for speaking the truth are those people who are living a lie.
If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to reflect. Where in your life have you been punished for honesty? Share your experience in the comments down below. Your story might help someone realize that they're not alone. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to be real. So until next time, trust the timing and relax your mind. It's divine time. Looking for truth, transformation, and a little divine inspiration? Then you're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Divine Time, the podcast where real talk meets real growth. I'm your host, Donley Divine, bringing you raw conversations, spiritual insight, and soul-shifting stories that light you up from the inside out. New episodes drop 4 times as strong. We don't say week over here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you never have to wait long for your next breakthrough. If you're feeling the vibe, follow the show, like the content, share the energy, and subscribe so you never miss a divine moment. Tap the link, join the tribe, and help us spread the light, one episode at a time. This is your time. This is Divine Time.